Okay, good afternoon. So we are now going to start with chapter 7, Paris to Berlin, from 1885 to 1887. Okay, so Rizal, who was already a high educated physician and writer, traveled to Europe to specialize in ophthalmology or eye medicine. Okay, so driven by his desire to treat his mother's increasing blindness, he chose Berlin. This is the capital of unified Germany because of its scientific atmosphere and, of course, the opportunities to associate with leading academics. Okay, so Rizal's stay in Berlin was significant because he was welcomed into the city's intellectual and scientific circles. Four of the top German scientists he met and befriended were Dr. Fyodor Jagor, a celebrated German scientist, traveler, and ethnologist. He was the author of the book Travels in the Philippines, which of course Rizal had read and admired as a student. Jagor was instrumental in introducing Rizal to many Berlin scientific societies. And then next is Dr. Rudolf Virchow, known as the father of modern pathology and a renowned anthropologist. Virchow became a close friend and intellectual admirer of Rizal. And then Dr. Adolf B. Meyer, director of the Anthropological and Ethnological Museum in Dresden, whom Rizal met before arriving in Berlin. He was a distinguished figure in ethnology. And also we have Dr. Hans Meyer, a German anthropologist, likely a relative or possibly the son of Dr. Adolf B. Meyer or Dr. Rudolf Virchow's sons. No? So Dr. Hans Virchow and also a figure in the field. Okay, so the second point, okay, is his merits as a scientist. So Rizal's merits as a scientist were recognized by the eminent scientists of Europe. It is a crucial testament to Rizal's genius. So this recognition was demonstrated in several ways. Okay, una yung membership in scientific societies. Rizal became a member of prestigious groups like the Anthropological Society, the Ethnological Society, and the Geographical Society of Berlin, often upon the recommendation of figures like Dr. Jagor and Dr. Meyer. So this was a remarkable honor, making him the first Asian to be accorded such recognition by these European scientific bodies. And then number two is scholarly contribution. Dr. Virchow, recognizing Rizal's intellect, invited him to give a lecture. In response, of course, Rizal wrote a scholarly paper in German titled Tagalis Berkunst or Tagalog Metrical Art, which he read before the Ethnographic Society of Berlin in April 1887. And then number three is his medical work. So he worked as an assistant in the clinic of Dr. Carl Ernest Squiger, a famous German ophthalmologist, and further establishing his professional competence. So it is important to note that Berlin was also where Rizal accomplished one of his most important life goals. And this is the publication of his first novel, No Limitang Hire, in March 1887. So his association with the German intellectuals and stimulating scientific environment provided the backdrop for this monumental work, which became the catalyst for the Philippine national movement. Okay, so in Gay Paris from 1885, shortly after terminating his studies at the Central University of Madrid, Rizal went to Paris in order to acquire more knowledge in ophthalmology. So he stopped at Barcelona to visit his friend Maximo Viola, a medical student, and a member of a well-to-do family of San Ildefonso, Bulacan. Okay, so he stayed for a week, during which time he befriended Senor Eusebio Corominas, editor of the newspaper La Publicidad, and made a crayon sketch of Don Miguel Muraita, owner of La Publicidad and a statesman. He gave editor Corominas an article on the Carolines question, which was then a controversial issue for publication. In November 1885, Rizal was living in Paris, and where he sojourned for about 4 months. So there he worked as an assistant to Dr. Louis de Wecker, a leading French ophthalmologist. From November 1885 to February 1886, he rapidly improved his knowledge of ophthalmology as revealed by his letter to his parents on January. He says here, with respect to the study of the ailments of the eyes, I am doing well, sabi niya. I know now how to perform all the operations. I only need to know what is going on inside the eyes, which requires much practice. So at the studio of Luna, also Rizal spent many happy hours discussed with Luna. He was the great master of the brush, a great painter, various problems on art, and improved his own painting technique. He helped Luna by posing as a model in several paintings. In Luna's canvas, The Death of Cleopatra, there Rizal posed as an Egyptian priest. In another of Luna's great paintings, titled The Blood Compact, he posed as Sikatuna, with Trinidad Pardo de Tavera taking the role of Legazpi. So Rizal as musician, of course. Rizal had no natural aptitude for music, at ina-admit naman niya to. So he studied music only because many of his schoolmates at Ateneo were taking music lessons. In a letter dated November 27, 1878, he told Enrique de Lete that he learned the solfeo, piano, and voice culture in 1 month and a half. So, of course, music played an important part in all Filipino reunions in Barcelona, Madrid, Paris, and other cities of Europe. The Filipino contemporaries of Rizal could either play an instrument or sing, especially in the home of the Pardo Titaperas, in the Luna studio. So every reunion was enlivened with the playing or singing of the kundimans and other Philippine melodies. So, okay, so Rizal confessed that he could not sing well. So sabi nga niya, if you could hear me sing, you would wish you were in Spain because my voice is like the braying of the asses. So by sheer determination and constant practice, Rizal came to play the flute fairly well. He was a flutist in various impromptu reunions of Filipinos in Paris. It is said that he even composed some songs, particularly alinmang lahi. Ano? It is a patriotic song which asserts that any race aspires for freedom. And of course, another one, Asad Danza, La Deportación, which he composed in Dapitan during his exile. Okay, so after acquiring enough experience as an ophthalmologist in Dr. Weger's clinic, Rizal reluctantly left Paris on February 1, February 1, 1886, for Germany. So he visited Strasbourg, capital of Alsace-Lorraine, and other German border towns. On February 3, 1886, he arrived in Heidelberg, a historic city in Germany famous for its old university and romantic surroundings. For a short time, he lived in a boarding house with German law students. So these students, Rizal was a good chess player, so that they made him a member of the chess players club. So he played chess with the students, German law students. So he became popular among the German students because he joined them in their chess game and beer drinking and watched their friendly saver duels. And then during weekends, Rizal visited the scenic spots in Heidelberg, including the famous Heidelberg Castle, and also the romantic Neckar River, the Jeter, and the old churches. So there he noticed that the German Catholics and Protestants practiced ecumenism, for they lived together in harmony and cordiality. One of the town churches was used one half by the Catholics and the other half by the Protestants. And then in the spring of 1886, Rizal was fascinated by the blooming flowers along the cool banks of the Neckar River. Among them was his favorite flower, the light blue forget-me-not. So the beautiful spring flowers reminded him of the blooming flowers at the garden of his home in Calamba. So in his mood of homesickness, he wrote on April 22, 1886, a fine poem entitled A las Flores de Heidelberg. And then after writing The Flowers of Heidelberg, Rizal spent a 3-month summer vacation at Williamsfeld. It is a mountainous village near Heidelberg. So he stayed at the vicarage of a kind Protestant pastor by the name of Dr. Karl Ulmer, who became his good friend and admirer. His pleasant personality and then of course yung talents niya in languages and sketching endeared him to the pastor's wife, who incidentally was a good cook, and of course his 2 children, Eta and Fritz. So delightful was his stay at Pastor Ulmer's home that Rizal felt the pangs of sadness when he ended his sojourn on June 25, 1886. He returned to Heidelberg carrying with him beautiful memories of the Ulmer friendship and hospitality. The following day, he wrote to Pastor Ulmer expressing his gratitude as follows. Sabi niya, I thank you very much once more. You may also receive when you're abroad the same treatment and friendship I have found among you. And if, being a foreigner, I can do nothing for you in a foreign land, I can be of some service to you in my homeland, where you will always find a good friend, if I do not die, of course. And then he also said, the joy of being understood by other people is so great that one cannot easily forget it. You understood me too, in spite of my brown skin. which to many people is yellow, as if that were puzzling or absurd. Okay, and on July 31, 1886, Rizal wrote his first letter in German, which he had improved after his stay with the Olmers. So, this is his first letter to Professor Ferdinand Blumentritt. He was the director of the Ateneo of Leitmeritz in Austria. He had heard of this Austrian ethnologist and his interest in Philippine languages. In his letter, Rizal said, "I have heard that you are studying our language and that you had already published work about it." And then he said, "Permit me to send you valuable books written by my countrymen in our language." The Spanish version is mediocre because the author is only a modest writer, but the Tagalog part is good, and it is precisely the language spoken in our province. So with the letter, Rizal sent the book which he mentioned. The book was entitled Arithmetica and was published in two languages, Spanish and Tagalog, by the University of Santo Tomas Press. The author was Rufino Baltasar Hernandez, a native of Santa Cruz, Laguna. Rizal's letter from Heidelberg impressed Blumentritt, who reciprocated by sending Rizal a gift of two books. It marked the beginning of their long and frequent correspondence, also of their friendship that lasted all their lives. Blumentritt, the Austrian, became the best friend of Rizal, the Filipino. Okay, so Rizal was fortunate to be sojourning in Heidelberg when the uh, University of Heidelberg held fifth centenary celebration on August. So it was a 3 day. It was 3 days before his departure, and he was sad because he had come to love the beautiful city and its hospitable people. On August 9, 1886, 3 days after the fifth centenary celebration of the University of Heidelberg, Rizal left the city. He boarded a train, visited various cities of Germany, and arrived in Leipzig on August 14, 1886. He attended some lectures at the University of Leipzig in history and psychology. He befriended Professor Friedrich Ratzel, a famous German historian, and Dr. Hans Meyer, German anthropologist. In Leipzig, Rizal translated Schiller's William Tell from German into Tagalog so that Filipinos might know the story of the champion of Swiss independence. Later, he also translated into Tagalog for his nephews and nieces Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tales. So Rizal found out that the cost of living in Leipzig was cheapest, and so that he stayed 2 months and a half in this German city. He corrected some chapters of his second novel and performed his daily physical exercises at the city gymnasium. Because of his knowledge of German, Spanish, and other European languages, he worked as a proofreader in a publisher's firm, thereby earning some money. On October 29, he left Leipzig for Dresden, where he met Dr. Adolf B. Meyer, director of the Anthropological and Ethnological Museum. He stayed 2 days in the city. He heard Mass in Catholic Church. Evidently, this Mass impressed him very much. For he wrote on his diary, sabi niya, "Truly, I have never in my life heard a Mass whose music had greater sublimity and intonation." And in the morning of November 1, Rizal left Dresden by train reaching Berlin in the evening. Rizal was enchanted by Berlin because of its scientific atmosphere and the absence of race prejudice. In this city, he came in contact with great scientists. He met for the first time Dr. Fyodor Jagor, a celebrated German scientist traveler and author of Travels in the Philippines, which Rizal read and admired during his student days in Manila. Dr. Jagor visited the Philippines in 1859 to 1860, and that was because before Rizal was born. So in this book, which was published in Berlin in 1873, he foretold the downfall of Spanish rule in the Philippines and of course the coming of America to Philippine shores. Rizal had a letter of introduction by Blumentritt for him. Dr. Jagor in turn introduced Dr. Rudolf Virchow, a famous German anthropologist, and the latter's son, Dr. Hans Virchow, professor of descriptive anatomy. Rizal also met Dr. W. Joest, a noted German geographer, and he worked in the clinic of Dr. Karl Ernst Kwieger, a famous German ophthalmologist. Rizal became a member of the Anthropological Society, the Ethnological Society, and the Geographical Society of Berlin upon recommendation of Dr. Jagor and Dr. Meyer. His membership in the scientific societies proved that his scientific knowledge was recognized by Europe's scientists. He was the first Asian to be accorded such honors. Okay, so Rizal was not a mere student or a curious tourist. He lived in this famous capital of unified Germany for 5 reasons. Okay, so number one is to gain further knowledge of ophthalmology. Number two, to further his studies of sciences and languages. And three, to observe the economic and political conditions of the German nations. And lastly, to associate with famous German scientists and scholars and to publish his novel Noli Me Tangere. Rizal led a methodical and frugal life in Berlin. By day, he worked as an assistant in the clinic of Dr. Kwieger, an eminent German ophthalmologist, and at night, he attended lectures in the University of Berlin. He kept himself in physical trim by daily exercises and practiced speaking German, French, and Italian. He wanted to master French so that he may be able to write it as well as in Spanish. He also took private lessons under a professor of French, Madame Lucie Serdole, in order to master the idiomatic intricacies of the French language. Aside from perfecting his academic studies, he performed daily exercises in a Berlin gymnasium to develop his body. Okay. So one of his important letters written while he was in Germany was that addressed to his sister Trinidad, dated March 11, 1886. So in this letter, Rizal expresses high regard and admiration for German womanhood. The German woman, said Rizal to his sister, is serious, diligent, educated, and friendly. She is not gossipy, frivolous, and quarrelsome like the Spanish woman. She is not particular about beautiful dresses and expensive jewelry, though she could dress nicely like any other woman in the world. Rizal regretted that in the Philippines, the women are more interested in how they dress than in how much they know. However, the delicacy of feeling, the fine manners, devotion, and hospitality of the Filipino women, especially those in the provinces who are not yet sophisticated, if only they can cultivate their intellect by education and by taking more interest in worldly affairs, remark Rizal, they can command the respect of all men. Accordingly, Rizal advises Sister Trinidad. So sabi niya, now that you are still young, you should strive to read, and learn. You know? You must not allow yourself to be conquered by indolence because it costs so little to cast it off. Okay, so here are uh, the women of Jose Rizal. Okay, so ito yung mga naging girlfriend niya. Naman dami, ano? So we have how many? Okay, we have 9. Yes, 9 women of Jose Rizal. Okay, so during his stay in Germany, Rizal closely observed the local customs and etiquette, finding some aspects particularly interesting. Okay, so the Christmas customs of the Germans delighted him the most. Okay, there may tinatawag silang self-introduction. He noted that interesting custom of self-introduction to strangers in a social gathering. According to the German Code of Etiquette, it was considered bad manners for a guest to remain aloof and wait for the host or hostess to make the proper introduction. Okay, so Rizal's darkest winter. Rizal spent winters in many temperate countries. The winter of 1886 in Berlin was his darkest. During this bleak winter, he lived in poverty because money did not arrive from Calamba and he was flat broke. The diamond ring which his sister Saturnina gave him was in the pawn shop already. He could not pay his landlord. He had to scrimp, eating only one meal someday, cheap and vegetable that daily soup. Ano? So yun ang kanyang pagkain. His clothes consisted whereof uh, okay, so he was his own clothes, ano? He was them by himself because he could not afford to pay the laundry. Out in the in faraway Calamba, Pasiano tried desperately to raise money. Alam niya na yung younger brother niya was in a dire financial situation in Berlin, but the crops had failed due to the ravages of locusts. The sugar market collapsed. Time was of the essence, but Fasciano was delayed in raising the necessary money. Meanwhile, Rizal starved in Berlin and shivered with wintry cold. His health broke down due to lack of proper nourishment, and then he began to cough, and he feared that he was going to be sick. Sabi niya, never had he suffered such physical blows of injury, so that his soul cried out in despair.